computer. Right.
All right, everybody. Hey, we want to welcome everybody to Heart tonight. And we got a very special guest. Her name is Jennifer. And she's got quite a story. And I have to tell you, after interviewing a lot of witnesses, it seems like the stories just get more crazy. You know, it's like, why do we need a therapist when we leave the watchtower? Why do we have to be on antidepressants? Why? I mean, religion's supposed to make us stronger and better and more whole, you know, but when people leave the witnesses, it's like they got a death sentence, a curse on them that they've got to come out from under. But anyway, Jennifer's going to share her story tonight. Why don't you introduce her, Angela, and tell us a little bit about who we're going to be talking to tonight.
Sounds good. All right. So again, our guest is Jennifer of Eden, North Carolina. Jennifer is a wife and a mother who originally came from Delaware, where she was raised as a Catholic. She saw how the JW org was helping her mother and hoped it might help her too. She started studying with her sister, already a member, right? Isn't that right, Jennifer? She's already a member.
No, not my sister. It was a sister.
Was what? A sister? Oh, kind
yeah.
of. So
it's okay.
Who was already a member and was baptized as a witness in 2012. She was 3 years in the organization and then she became disfellowshipped. She will share a story tonight of how she got out, the abuse she endured, and all the great clarity and insight she has today. She's a very bright and logical person who's really going to get us thinking tonight. Jennifer lives with her husband in Eden, North Carolina. So we're so glad to have you on our show tonight, Jennifer, and welcome.
Thank you.
So now Jennifer is a sister-in-law to somebody we've had on the show before, Sharon Lee Murray. And so Sharon will be on hopefully later on if she can get on. She's having some trouble. So we'll see how we do. Okay. All right. So Dan, what do you think? Should we start asking her some questions?
Yeah. So I guess that's what we want to ask you, Jennifer, is, you know, I guess we ask everybody the same thing, you know, like, where did it all begin? When did you come in this truth, and who came in? You, your mother, you know, did you come in when you're older, or how did all that happen?
And of course, we don't think it's a truth, of course, but
exactly.
You might still think it's the truth. I better not ask her that.
Well, basically, you know, my mother started with it. She kind of did it like off and on, but then she got back in touch with witnesses again, and she started studying. And I've seen the changes that she was making, because basically, you know, she was an alcoholic all her life. You know, I actually almost died from her being drunk. I don't know how I survived that. Thank God I'm still here. You know, and
help her become a witness. Did she stop drinking?
Yeah, she did. And I was blown away by it, because I'm like, oh my God, like, this is really working for her. You know what I mean? And it was just like, I never thought my mom would ever stop drinking, but she did. And she even quit smoking cigarettes. And I'm like, wow, this must be something, because, you know, look at the changes that she made in her life. And it's just like, if it works for her, why wouldn't it work for me? You know? So, you know, I started studying. I had a sister come to my apartment one day, and, you know, she asked me the question like, you know, what do you think about the world conditions? And I told her, I was like, it's horrible. I said, people were starving, people were dying, people were being murdered, and, you know, all kinds of things. And it's just like, when is that going to end? You know? And she started telling me, you know, about God and what his main purposes were, and, you know, things like that. And I'm like, wow, well, maybe that's something I need to check out. So I studied, and the more I studied, the more I wanted to know. So basically, I was having a Bible study every week. Then I started going to the hall, and, you know, eventually, like, you know, I was there being involved for a couple years, and, you know, I even went out and did some pioneer work. I mean, I went out every day. You know, when my son went to school, I was out knocking on doors, and I liked it, because it was like, you know, if I could find, you know, something that would make me feel better about myself, because I'm trying to help people know the truth about God and everything. Like, maybe that was why I'm here, you know?
Yeah.
So I did that. And it was just, even, you know, the association was a good thing, but I started to see where maybe I shouldn't have got into this. Like, you know, what I told you about the sister that was, I have to, you know, tell you about that a little bit later. But, you know, I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain unless you, you know, unless you experience that yourself, you know?
Exactly. So what did happen that kind of started turning you south? What was the events that started?
Well, basically, you know, no matter how bad your marriage is, you're supposed to be with that person. Like I said, I was having a issue with my marriage, and you know, I would talk to the brothers about it, and it would, like, you know, they'd want to know all kinds of things, but not so much about me. It was, what really freaked me out was when they were saying, oh, you know, even though if you're abused, you know, you should still stay with your husband, and blah 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 blah, and this and that. And you know, I went to go see this sister. She was in the hospital. She was in a coma.
Oh my goodness.
And yes, she had no hair on her head because they had to put a line in to drain blood from her brain. Like, she was, I don't even remember how long she was in the hospital. And come to find out, she actually was murdered after I had left, because I talked to Sharon earlier today. And I said to her, I said, do you remember Sister Branch? And she was like, yeah. And she was like, her husband murdered her. I was like, what? She's like, yeah, this was after you left. And I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me. Well, come to find out, her husband was an alcoholic, set her on fire.
Oh my God.
Now, the reason why she lost her life is because she listened to them brothers and she stayed with him.
So when you saw her in the hospital, she wasn't burnt.
No.
It happened after.
She was severely beat up. She you know, she was in a coma and everything. And Sharon had told me as soon as she got home, he murdered her.
My God, how did she find that out?
She was still talking, you know, to everybody. She left after I left.
Oh.
You know, it's amazing, Jennifer. I think Linda James did a show on this, and she was talking about how the Watchtower policy, you know, because it's black and white, Jehovah hates a divorcing, you know, and how many women, I think she mentioned that a week or two ago, but she said, how many women have been abused because of Watchtower policy? And here we got a death. A woman gets beat to death.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you saw her after she was beaten, right? And she had
No.
that. Oh, that was,
No.
why was she in there?
I'm sorry. I saw her when she was in the hospital, yes. I didn't see her after, you know, she was released from the hospital, because apparently when she got home, that was it.
But I guess I sort of imagined that he'd beat her up and that's why she was in the hospital, but I could be wrong.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, so
Yeah.
he beat her so bad that her brain had to be drained. You know, that's just crazy. So he didn't succeed in killing her the first time. So,
Right.
God
But
almighty.
basically, you know, they teach you, you know, you're supposed to love your wife as yourself. You're supposed to love your husband as yourself. You're supposed to, you know what I mean? But it's like, how can you, you know, you sound like you're contradicting yourself, basically.
Right. Right.
And, you know, when the time for me, you know, to leave, and, you know, because they were going to disfellowship me because I cheated on my husband because he cheated on me. And they're like, you know, they sat me down and there was like 4 brothers there and they wanted to ask me questions. I'm sorry.
Lots of questions, right? Because I know how they do. They ask so many questions. It's like ridiculous. Ridiculous.
Yeah, my Bible just came up. I do prayers every night. So I don't know if you're hearing that. I'll see if I can clear it real quick. Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
Are you going to beat us with the Bible?
Yes, I have a King James version on my phone.
All right.
Uh-oh. Oh, good. There you are.
Okay, there we go.
You're
I had
back.
to clear it.
Okay. No problem.
We don't mind seeing a Bible.
Me neither. At least I get the truth from that.
Right, yeah. Well, that's amazing. You know, we visited assembly, me and Angela. I don't know, it was a little while back, but Angela wanted to see what was going on in the assembly. And I happened to see this family that I hadn't seen in a long time. And I said, where's your brother? You know, where's everybody? And he said, well, my brother's married to this girl here, but he doesn't want to be married to this girl here. And so he's over there with the other girl, and each one of them are trying to choose who they were going to have sex with, so they would be free of marriage. You know what I mean? It was crazy. I got lost in the deal. He's like, yeah, she's got to have sex with her, and then if she forgives him, or she's free to move on. And I was like, oh man, you lost me. But that's how crazy the organization is, you know.
You wouldn't believe it. I was there as a non-member, not baptized, not anything, not even studied, but I was with Dan, and the guy just, came right out with, yeah, I had to go have sex with somebody so that they would let me out of this marriage. And so he did. He tells right in front of me. It's like, oh my God. And he's a member, a baptized member.
Yeah. Because like the brothers, they wanted to ask me questions like, well, what was it that that you did? And I said, I had an affair with a disfellowshipped brother, which was Sharon's brother. But and then they're like, well, where did it happen? I was like, in a hotel room. What do you think? It happened in the back of a car? Like, come on. Like they wanted to know the details.
They do. They always do.
They don't need to know everything.
I know, but Sharon, I just want to let you know, Jennifer, that every time any woman is taken into that room, they go to the nth degree to find out every tiny, teeny detail, and they make you repeat it over and over and over again in every which way. And it's like they want to get all turned on by it. I'm telling you.
Well,
exactly. And I didn't have time for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can hear the elders, were you wearing a skirt when you enticed him and heels?
Yes. And what were you wearing?
Actually, yeah, I was.
Oh, if I may ask, was it more than one? I mean, it's insane. We've heard these stories over and over where women, in fact, one of the guys we had on our show, he committed suicide a little while back. He told us that he would walk out of the elders meetings. Out of the elders meetings because it was like midnight.
How do I speak? She says. So we were seeing our good friend Sharon on here, and she says, how do I?
We had a guy who was an elder. He gave talks at the assembly, and one day he was in a meeting and he said, why are you guys keeping this sister here till midnight? And why are you asking her the same questions over and over? And they got pissed off. And he says, I can't do this anymore. I can't sit in this meeting. And you know what they did to him? They completely destroyed his reputation. They told his kids the birds were going to pick out his eyes. They told him he was trash. They told him his wife, he's gone back to the world, and he blew his head off. I mean, it's really sad.
And Jennifer, we've heard story after story after story of women who've been talked to into the night. And they have to repeat things over and over and explain every gory detail backwards, forwards, and crisscross. It's like mental abuse. Do you know what I'm saying? It's mental, emotional abuse.
So did you ever believe it was
the truth? One time, and that was it. I wasn't going to repeat myself a million times because
Did you ever believe it was the truth when you were studying? Like, this is the truth?
At first, yeah. And then, once I was in it longer and longer and longer, I'm like, no, something ain't right here. Something's not right at all.
Yeah.
Which books did you study when you came in? Was it like the Paradise Book or Revelation? What years were you in?
I had to write it down because I couldn't even remember.
That's not good.
Because I have no memory of anything pretty much, which is, I'm fine with that. March 27th, 2001, and I was disfellowshipped, or should I say shunned. October of 2012. But like I said, before my baptism, I was in there for about 2 to 3 years. So I didn't get baptized until 2011, and then I left about a year later.
Wow. So you were in there later than I was. I mean, I was out in the late 80s. So
Jennifer, so you ended up getting free from all that your mother was suffering as well, right? Or did you kind of for a while and then ended back down that road, or how did that go for you?
I because I used to smoke cigarettes, I used to smoke marijuana, so I was like, well, let me break away from this. And they were like, well, you can't be baptized until you quit smoking. So I didn't smoke for about 3-4 years, and actually I had quit for about 15 years smoking cigarettes and everything. But once I left, guess what happened?
Yeah, I
But
totally. It's stress, right? It's like learned what you
yeah,
learned how to deal with stress that way. Hey, by the way, Linda, if you want to say anything at all at any point, please feel free. We don't need you to be quiet when you want to say something.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm. So, well,
I just told Sharon maybe she should go out and then come back in. Sometimes that'll do it, redo the
yeah.
start fresh.
Actually, this is new for us, right? iPad. I'm not used to people coming in from an iPad.
Ireland uses her
Oh,
iPad.
does she? Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people do.
Ooh. So
Yep.
we're going to learn on this one. We'll have to ask Ireland what the trick is.
Yeah.
So you said your mom also was kind of abusive. Well, obviously, I guess she would if she was drinking a lot.
yeah.
So did you overcome all of that? What did you have to do to get well from all of that?
A lot of therapy.
Yeah.
A lot of therapy.
And did you get a lot of guilt going to the world to get therapy, or were you just kind of okay with that? Yeah, I think it
I was
helped.
okay. I mean, I did what I had to do for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And thank God, you had the Catholic background. And because I'll tell you what, these people that have been born or raised in it, they're so sure that they cannot go to the world for counseling, and they won't. They'd rather die and kill themselves. And it's just such a tragedy. It really is.
Yeah, that's something, because
I
I
know.
mean, I've been there with the suicide stuff, and but as of today, I'm not on any medication. I don't need it.
Yeah, that's good.
I don't need the medication. I'm actually doing a lot better without the medication. I'm not hearing the voices anymore like I used to.
Thank God.
All that was caused from the medication.
Oh man. I'll tell
So
you, that's such a problem anymore. I'm getting really concerned that these medications are making people want to kill them or hang themselves in particular, that in particular. And our
yeah,
friend, some relative of ours just hung himself, and he was on medication and in counseling, and then his wife just made him just at the nth degree of frustrated, and he just said, you know what, I'm done. And it was obvious he'd premeditated it. It just seemed obvious, at least to me, it seemed obvious. And but I have a feeling that medication he was taking could very well have been a big factor, and it's becoming a problem. I really think people need to be careful when they take that stuff.
mhm,
It's
I agree.
crazy, man.
So
But
Sharon
I
made
haven't.
the comment, she left on 12/5/12, the night I woke up.
Oh wow,
He was disfellowshipped. So
wow,
that's a message from Sharon.
wow. What a weird thing.
Wow.
I mean, even to this day, I still don't talk to my mother. But I'm like, you know what? It really doesn't bother me because you weren't really that much in my life to begin with.
Is she still a
So
witness?
yeah, apparently she is. She lives with my sister, and my dad up in Delaware. And I actually tried to talk to my mother. She did talk to me for a little bit, but then she didn't want to hear what I had to say about what the Bible says and stuff like that. She's like, I don't want to hear what you're trying to say. I was like, all right, go ahead, believe your own lies then. And I haven't talked to my mom for about a couple years now. I haven't even talked to her.
If you called her, would she talk to you? Do you think?
I don't know, but I'm really not in the mood to try to talk to her.
I hear you. I just was curious.
Me and my mom, we always hit heads. We
Yeah.
always bump heads,
Yeah.
So just to save myself grief, I don't need to associate with her.
Yeah.
I mean, she ain't worried about calling me. So,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
like I said, I haven't had my mom in my life for most of my life, so I'm really not missing anything.
Yeah.
My family is here.
So what would you say you could it would be your very best advice that you would have for somebody who is either thinking about going in there or is just thinking about leaving? Either way.
I would have to say for going in, do your research first.
Yeah.
Do your research first before you make any decisions. I said, because once I even remember a brother saying that a cult is hard to get into and easy to get out of. No, or maybe it was the other way around. It was so long ago, like I said.
Yeah, easy to get into and hard to get out of. I would definitely say that's true. I don't know how they do what they do. I still don't quite have a handle on how these hooks get so strong in us and that we can't seem to get them out like it's a stuck record. I don't understand how they so effectively get them so well planted, and why is it so hard to get them back out? It's like watching a horror movie and, every time you close your eyes, you see that horror and you can't seem to get it out of your head, or, you're in war, war, right? And you can't, it's like that's severe. And I'm so surprised that it could work so well in every religion. It doesn't really matter which one, Mormon, Seventh-day Adventist, I don't care what. It's stuck. My mom, she is stuck bad, and you can't get out of her head these certain ideas that she has, and no matter what. And if it's sad, because I feel like it's making her not live the life she was meant to live. And but how about somebody who's thinking about leaving? What would you say to somebody who's thinking about leaving? What's your best thought there?
I would have to say just do it. Why? I mean, why be stuck in something that's, they make you believe it's the truth, but it's really not. So what's actually holding you there? Nothing was holding me there.
Yeah.
I was actually glad to get out.
Yeah. What did you say,
My
Linda?
life is so
A
much
second
better
ago?
now.
Did you need to go, Linda? Is that what you were saying there? I wasn't hearing. I couldn't hear that.
I
What?
haven't said anything.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I thought you wrote
Something
something.
popped up.
Yeah.
I did. I
Yeah,
am
I saw
writing
it too.
something in the chat
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
to
Right.
Sharon.
Oh, God. Yeah. Good.
But
Yes,
know,
please. He said, yes, please. So,
I used to laugh when I used to think of witnesses going to the door, and I used to tell people, just answer your door, just talk to them, but then I realized, I've been in it and been out of it for 20 years. So I have a lot of understanding about a lot of things, about a lot of other religions. I have a pretty broad base now that I can look at things. But if somebody comes to your door and you just lost your job, and you're having problems with your wife, you're watching the world fall apart all around you, and somebody said it's Jehovah's original purpose to put man in a paradise, and his word's going to prove to be, the story they tell you, right? And
Oh, yeah.
will possess the earth and live forever on it. You go, wow. And then you say, how do I get in? Well, just means taking in knowledge, just means everlasting life, right? And so it's a pretty good story. And so it works. And the reason it works is this: most people do not know their Bible. Most people, have a very limited understanding. So when a witness comes up and says, well, did you know God's name's Jehovah? Well, what's it matter? Well, how can you pray to a God you don't know? Let me show you where his name is in the Bible. And you say, oh my God, I've never prayed to God. Yeah. And in fact, God is calling you right now, especially. Now, what they don't tell you is they've had, knowing Jehovah, and that Jehovah's taken out of people for his name's sake, Jehovah's Witnesses. What they don't tell you is, even because they have the name Jehovah, they've had over 100 years of false prophesying,
Oh, yeah.
So does it matter whether they know Jehovah? Does God want to be called Jehovah? Or does he want to be called Abba or Lord or I am that I am? I mean, how do you name something that has no beginning and no end? That sounds like a man thing. I even did a video the other day that I said, when you name God, you make him a man. When you say Jehovah's jealous, angry, vengeful, spiteful, he's coming back. He's got to vindicate his name, for he has become highly exalted. When you do that, it's like you've made him a man. You've made God in man's image. And this is something that has no beginning. Yep. So I stopped telling people to answer the door. I started, because I know people don't have any bigger knowledge than that about the Bible. And so I started telling them, when they come to the door, tell them to leave, tell them to get out of here, because they're very persuasive. They're dressed in a suit. They're usually pretty cleaned up. They smell good. They look good. And they've got their brief bag. It looks like a lot of order. And they present you with this so-called truth with a smile and offer a free home Bible study. So it's a plan that works. It works. And unless you have a bigger understanding of the Bible and understand it in a lot of different ways, you could easily be sucked in.
Oh, yeah, I totally agree with that. And we have a friend right now who's really, really struggling with some idea about how God feels when you just simply get disconnected from your peace, I guess you would say. That's to put it simply. And he literally thinks that he's committed the unpardonable sin. And he was actually a Bethelite. And so I don't know how that idea got stuck in his head, that if he gets out of connection with God at any given moment, like he gets upset with me or you or somebody or something, he's gotten out of connection and out of peace, and therefore he's committed an unpardonable sin. And can you imagine? I mean, because how many times a day do you get disconnected from your peace or your connection with God in a deep way? How many times a day? For most of us, I would say a lot. And I don't know, I feel bad that people get these ideas in their head, and it literally makes them really, really, really messed up. Really, really messed up.
So
Well,
isn't the last assembly for this summer pursue peace? Didn't they make a big deal about peace and achieving it? I mean, so I'm wondering if that has to do with this. I mean, what I'm used to hearing within the organization is that our behavior could actually make Jehovah God himself sad, or our behavior can actually please Jehovah, as if we're responsible, as if we are responsible for his feelings. This is an unfair burden and not our responsibility. I mean, Jennifer, are you responsible for my feelings? Is your actions?
No, we're all responsible for our own.
Right. So why are we talking like as if our actions are going to, maybe it could, but if they're putting it on us as though it's a burden, if that makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, you
right.
remember they
Instead
used
of a joy,
well, they used to say their blood is on our hands. Do you remember that? They tell us,
Uh-huh.
if you walk by somebody and you didn't give them a brochure, or, you didn't give them a watchtower and you didn't tell them something. So, we'd be in the stores. We had brochures, stores on the beach. We'd take a vacation and I had a back pocket full of brochures, and I'd be talking to people on the beach, and, just everywhere I went. And I really did believe their blood was on my hands. But, as I get older,
that was a fear-based motivation
Yeah,
to get you to share the good news, which is, don't you want to be in
and
paradise?
spread their literature.
Right. So in order to keep this organization still going, you have to recruit people. And even if they're not being recruited, we got to keep you busy.
Yeah.
So the way to keep you busy and feel responsible for other people's salvation is to tell you that you're responsible when scripture says that they are called, right? That God calls them or Jesus calls them. I mean, it's really not us. And I mean, yes, it's very wise to share things when it comes to mind when we're having conversation with people, but it is not my responsibility to make sure everybody in that market knows about the good news of the kingdom, watchtower, doctrine version.
Right.
It's not. That's what they put on us.
You're right. And the Christians do the same, actually, Linda. If you'll discover, if you haven't already, it's not like that burden becomes lifted. It doesn't. It's just a different arena.
well, and it's the same goal. It's, this life sucks. We got to get to heaven. This life sucks. And here the Bible says life is a gift. You should see good for your hard work. Jesus said, I've given you talents, and you're supposed to use them and use them, and there's a return. And there's so many things in there about living this life. I came so you could have this life more fully. But here, it doesn't matter. We go into a lot of Christian church, a lot of different places, and this life sucks. This life is to be just destroyed and burnt in hell. And, there's nothing but heaven. Heaven's is where we got to get our butt in heaven. And the witnesses, we had to get our butts in paradise. And I think that's very selfish to say, I mean, when I went door to door, what was I really doing? I really didn't want to go to those people's doors. I didn't.
Thank God you did, Jennifer.
And why did we go? Because the organization told us it was a mandatory practice. They said, whatever the word was, I forget what they used, but why did we even believe them in the first place? Because they convinced us that we and our own decision-making skills were not wise, and that Jehovah Gods are, and that Jehovah God's instructions are wise, which they are. So they gaslight us to believe that God's using this organization. So we set aside our own authority of our own decision-making skills, and we handed that over to the organization, because they deceived us and told us that they are the ones that are giving us food from Jehovah, as though Jehovah is speaking to us through them. They're the mediator, right?
Right.
Or they're I'll think of it in a minute. But so when they instruct us to do things,
There you go.
when they instruct us to do things, even though it feels like it's going against our gut and we don't want to, we obey because we've been taught that that's what God wants us to do.
Why do we believe in it? Why do we do this? I mean, I did that
Because they convinced us our heart was terrible, and they convinced us we're crap.
I mean,
and
my
we're
ex did this. My family, my grown-up church did this. Other churches I've been in have done this. I mean, I'm telling you, wow, I can't even believe that we all fall for it, but we do. All of us. And it doesn't matter the religion, I'm telling you. Really does.
It's a technique of narcissism.
God.
This is what narcissists do.
Absolutely.
They are desperate and actually function in a lot of fear. But in order for them to feel empowered, they must have people dependent on them.
Yes.
And so
and that-
organizations
power.
get us dependent on them.
Yes.
And what we don't realize, or many don't realize, is this organization would be nothing without the members. Nothing.
No, it wouldn't. Neither would the
And the
world.
money that
God.
they get in too.
Say that again, Jennifer.
And the money that they get in too.
Yeah, that's right. That's her motivation. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah, it is. It is because
So
even in Jesus,
they're deceiving us. That's how they do it to us.
yeah.
They
yeah.
speak as though this is what God wants us to do. So we end up believing it.
So they're con men, really. They're con men.
Yes.
And
Amen.
Herbert W. Armstrong and the Worldwide Church of God that I grew up in. Oh man, am I hearing the stories coming out? And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I don't even believe that those guys were, doing these things behind our back and telling us that we couldn't do those things that they were doing, or we'll be kicked out or whatever. And, like, for example, you go to the bars with his daughter, and then someone said at the bar, well, aren't you worried that one of your members is going to show up and see you here because you're not supposed to be out on Friday night, and, in anything worldly, you don't spend money or anything. Friday night sundown to Saturday night sundown. Oh no, I've trained them well. Ha ha. No, there's no way they're going to show up. It's
And
like,
he's right.
oh my
He's
gosh,
right.
and he did all the vile things that, leaders do, and they have a lot of money. And same with his son, who was right up there with him. And I'm like, my God, it was way worse than anybody I've ever known. And I'm like, wow, I just can't believe that. I now when I listen to him on the radio, because you can still hear radio footage of all these broadcasts, and I can hear the con, I can hear the worldliness, I could hear, but then he was like a god to us. It's funny. Oh look, she's got her hand raised in the iPad. Hey, the hand raised in your iPad, Sharon. that works. That's funny.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Me and Angela has visited a lot of churches, and they all have a tapestry of scriptures that they use to convince you they have the truth. And honestly, if you were to meet a Mormon and he was to tell you the story about Joseph Smith and how he found these tablets, these golden tablets, and they're reestablishing the church, the true church of Jesus Christ. And the Book of Mormon was a testimony of that. And they showing you scriptures, and they're saying, that God always had a prophet and he wouldn't leave us without a prophet today. And here's our prophet today. And here's the testimony of the Book of Mormon. You'd be like, if you didn't know anything, or you hadn't been in any religion or any cult, you'd say that makes sense. and they'd have a big smile on their face. They'd invite you into the family. They'd put their arms around you. They'd take you out to dinner. They'd watch your kids. They'd give you clothes. I mean, they'd take good care
That's
of
the
you.
love bombing. That's the
Yes.
love bombing. And
Yeah.
isn't that the same? God's always used a prophet. Isn't that the same as what the organization says to us? God's always used an organization.
Yes.
It's the
the same
identical.
playbook. Yeah,
And
it's the same
and
playbook. Even though
Jehovah,
there is not a playbook, but it's
Yeah.
the same playbook.
Jesus came back and found them working, said, "Good and faithful servants, I will appoint you over all my belongings." And, that was an obligation we had to say. A lot of people don't realize an obligation is you have to say before you come a witness, do you believe this is God's visible only organization on earth? And it was a spirit anointed organization on earth. And you had to say yes. And you had to say that to 4 or 5 elders. And what we didn't realize right then was we gave permission to the governing body to tell us how to live every aspect of our life. And they do.
Yeah.
They tell you how to have sex. They tell you what operations to have, what jobs that you can keep as long as they're not on Saturday and interfering with field service. They tell you what women
Sundays.
to marry. And, Saturdays when we went out.
Oh,
So they wanted you to be there for that.
got
I
it.
quit so many jobs because of Saturday, because they wanted me to work. But what we didn't realize when we said this is Jehovah's visible organization on earth, and we sort of took that vow, then we gave ourselves over to that organization in more ways than we realize. I really think we became possessed because
Yeah.
what they did to us after we came in, this is pretty sick. But while they were programming us that they were the only ones, the reiteration, right? We're the only ones, we're the faithful and discreet slave, we use Jehovah's name, they put that in us. At the same time, they were indoctrinating us to self-destruct if we ever left. Because when we went to the assemblies were never drift away from Jehovah. And then they would have a drama of somebody that went into town that wasn't supposed to go into town. And you'd hear all this killing and banging. They never returned. They decided to go and look when Jehovah told them no. And so we don't realize that. We don't realize either that when we leave, we're going to be abandoned. We really don't believe that. I didn't believe it. When I left, I didn't think my mom was going to disown me. I didn't think my brothers and all them were going to shun me. I really didn't. I thought, we're family. And when my ex left, I saw the hatred in these witnesses. We went out back and we knew these people forever back behind our house. And when we went out there, when my wife walked out there and she got in an argument with the elders over the blood, she said, how come we can now take blood fractions and we can take this part of blood and that part of blood, but we can't take this part of blood? Because that's the way it was going. And they said, you've taken a bite out of the apple and you keep on eating. So right away, the elders told the people in the congregation to watch out for us. So I walked by a guy that I'd known my whole life. He was an artist, a well-known artist, and he acted like he never knew me. And then we walked out and back to sort of wave over the fence and the people ran inside. And then the elders came to my house and I was still in and they said, hey, we're going over to Applebee's. And going to Applebee's meant we were going to drink a couple of 32-ounce beers, which is a lot of beer, which I didn't think at the time, right? But when I was at the door, I said, well, let me ask my wife, like let's encourage her. Let's talk to her. Let's say, hey, come on with us and say, hey, let's smooth this out. They said, my God, Dan, she's gone. And here I had 2 babies and they're like, there's plenty of sisters in the hall. In another year, you'll be remarried. Let her go. I mean, isn't that insane?
Yeah.
I mean,
Really
wow.
is insane. You guys, it seems interesting to me that, when you make these commitments, we've talked about this before, but when you make these commitments to these guys and they make you really, really make sure you've set all these commitments to them that I agree with, yes, I agree with this, I agree with that. Just so many of them. And by saying yes to all of those, it's like you did make a pact with the devil. And I'll tell you why I say that. Because even the Mormons, they agree to all this stuff. And then they literally are told to then ask to see an angel or see Jesus or something like that. And then a whole bunch of them do. And I mean, so many of them do. And I'm like, how does this happen? And I mean, you can't know the stories I've heard, and my own relatives, even 2 of them who've seen the Jesus in the hallway at wherever. And how does this happen? how does this happen? And it's like, no, there are spirits attached to these commitments that we make. We don't realize how serious it is what I'm starting to think, it's the same with the religion I grew up in, it's identical. You make agreements to the lies. It's like you agreed to the lie. Remember that book, People of the Lie?
Yeah.
It's like Scott, in fact, didn't even really want to help those people because they don't really want to help themselves. They're stuck. I don't know. I know he had a hard time because it feels like he got nowhere and worked so hard. And then, anyway, I think there's spirits involved. I really do. I just want to say that there's something to that. I feel really,
That makes sense.
yeah.
Yeah. But we visit a lot of churches, and you're not free to speak what you want in any of them. They all have their dogma. If one is charismatic and they believe in the gifts, they don't like the ones that don't believe in the gifts. And the ones that don't believe in the gifts, they think the people that believe in the gifts are satanically run. And there's over 200 sects in Christianity, and none of them can agree on the same thing. Some of them are into law, some of them are into more Old Testament than New Testament, some are in New Testament and Old Testament. It's just all over the place. And it's not totally bad, but what me and Angela have experienced in our travels for the last 22 years is when we visited these churches, you were on a time frame. They would bring you in, they would feed you. They would say, come on over to the new members group and let's get some food. And then someone was assigned to come over and talk to us. And they would usually want to take a personality test, or, what would they call that test where they were going to
decide where you're going to serve in the church.
Yeah, where you were gifted. We just want to have you fill out this paper and let's see what your gifts are.
That's happened more than once.
Which means you're going to work in the church. And then the churches were saying, well, why would you go anywhere else? We have everything you need. We have 1,500 versions of the Bible. We have in our class, we give to the food. We have our own hospital. Why would you go anywhere else?
Recovery.
And we're like, well, we just don't want to comply. We don't want to join a church. We don't want to, the Bible says this. Isn't this weird? It says, don't put your trust in nobles nor the sons of earthly men whom and here the witnesses all accept us. The witnesses, they all accept us.
In whom no salvation belongs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And yet they're telling you, Stephen Lett said in a video on jw.org, you better listen to us like your life depends on it, because it does. And I said this, could you imagine the Pope saying that? Could you imagine the Pope coming out his window in France or wherever he's at, England, and saying, guys, you better listen to me. I mean, that's how narcissist these guys are. You better listen to me like your life depends on it, because he does. And I don't know if you heard Tony Morris say that. Did you see that video, Jennifer, where he said, Tony Morris said, won't you be glad when they're all dead? He was talking about those who have left.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, when they're all gone.
The governing body. He lights a match. He takes out a match out of his pocket and he goes, he's like a drunk, he's like, I just want to reiterate this point really good here. And so he reaches in his pocket and he pulls out a match and he lights it and he puts it out there like this. And he goes, I just want to tell you, this is those people who've left Jehovah. And I believe he mentioned gay. I think he said homosexuals and all these people. He goes, won't you be glad when they're all dead? And he goes, and he smiled and he got an applause. Everyone was like, I mean, this is
unbelievable.
It is.
Yeah.
Am I lying, Linda?
Yes. And especially what's sick about it, like I always say every time, is that their own children are involved in that group of people. Their very own children. And that is the sickest thing of all, that you could clap for that. It's just, I don't know. Lynn, I got a question for you, Jennifer. Your own mother, she was raised Catholic, right? I mean, because you were, and then she got into this. Did you see her change from when she was Catholic as compared to when she became Jehovah's Witness, and how that all went down? I mean, you did see her quit drinking. So was it just like, was it better? I guess maybe in your case, it was better because she quit drinking, right? So you didn't really see the hardness of her heart or any of those things that witnesses typically get from becoming witnesses. No, you saw her better. Yeah,
Yep.
Interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And you're better off. So,
well, I'm glad you didn't have any massive recovery when you came out. It sounds like you were kind of glad to get out of there.
but she struggled with some tough stuff, man. She said even some suicide thoughts. Yeah, no, that wasn't easy. No.
Yeah, that was from the medication I was on, but like
Oh,
I said,
my.
I'm better.
Yeah. And you married a really good guy, didn't you? You're still married. How long have you been married now?
It'll be 10 years in November.
All right.
Congratulations.
Awesome.
You know,
And we got
as
babies.
Oh,
you were talking like it only makes sense to make the best decisions for me. This is not the way we were taught in a cult. When we're in a high demand group, the decisions we make are always for others. You know, what's best for others. And we put ourselves like on this back burner and
Yep.
we allow ourselves to be just ran over
yeah,
as though we are nothing, because that's what they teach us that we are.
that's right.
And just another thing I wanted to add, you know, cult 101. If somebody claims to be God or claims to speak for God, you might be in a cult. Okay? Those are two big things. If they claim to be God or they claim to speak for God.
And I'm going to add some things to it because I heard, which it was maybe Borgie was giving a definition of a cult, or somebody was the other night on Six Screens. And I'm like, man, you guys missed a whole bunch of points, you know. But some of the other ones are that there's always, they tell you that we're special
Oh,
because
yes.
we have this,
Yes.
we have that. So that's one of the signs. They also use controlling of your time. And the reason why they do that is because they make it so that you don't have time to think about anything. So they keep you really, really busy. And one of the other
Yes.
tricks is they keep you so busy that they'll go into the night. Real bad cults will get you into 2 and 3 in the morning and just exhaust you so that you don't have time to take care of your own business, your own thought processing, you know, just taking care of your own needs, you know, doing your laundry. I mean, they just keep you just hopping. So there's no time to think. They discourage independent thinking. They use a lot of division tactics to get you to tell on each other and get brownie points somehow for telling on each other and getting in good with the leaders by doing that, being faithful and loyal. They expect a lot of loyalty, a strict loyalty. Usually there's always sexual deviancies that come up. It may be innocent in the beginning and look good, but eventually you'll see the fruit when you see that sign of, God says that I can have sex with whoever I want or whatever. It's something sexual deviant that deviates from the norm. And that's always, that's the signature for sure of the devil and the whole thing. It's a cult. And a lot of times that one's there. And there's others, but anyway, those are some of the big main ones that, you know, we've got to look out for. Just not having a good sense of self and just feeling like you're giving yourself away, that they take and demand all of your time and loyalty, a lot of loyalty. And like you said, Linda, that they're head over you, not equals. No. And a lot of times the women are dominated, but the men are too. And that's interesting. So can you think of some more, Dan? And those are some of the ones I remember.
I know in the world, when you go into groups into the world, you know what they say when you see the Buddha?
Yeah, kill it.
Run, run. When you see the guy sitting there like this, you know, and he's, you know, come in, my children. It says when you see the Buddha, run. And in other traditions, it says when you see the Buddha, kill him. You know, because there's no Buddhas. You know. So anyway, so Jennifer, so what are you doing now? How's everything going now? How's your walk now? What are you doing now in your life now that you've gotten out? You know.
I pretty much don't do much. I mean, I get on Facebook and I preach what I know, you know, from the Bible, not from any group. Because,
Yes,
you know, God's word doesn't lie.
that's right.
So I get on there. I actually have a group that I have about 400 members now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good job, Jennifer. That's crazy.
Are you the
So,
Buddha, Jennifer?
Huh?
I'm kidding. I said, are you the Buddha?
The Buddha's wife.
Oh, no way.
I know.
Dan, we're joking.
I'm joking.
Sorry.
Like,
No,
yeah.
I know. So, you know, I mean, I get on every day and, you know, not only do I talk about God, but I also expose the evil that's going on in this world.
Yes.
Because, you know, that's what we're supposed to do. So that's what I do. And, you know, I have a good enjoyment for it, you know, because I want people to know the truth. And basically that gets me every day. I do that every day, you know, plus, you know, around this time of night, I'm actually setting up for dialysis, but I'm just happy to be alive. I'm happy for my husband. I'm happy for, that I have my son, and, that I'm able to wake up every day.
Yes.
How old is your son, by the way?
He's 20.
Wow. That's cool.
I'll
Wow.
be 40. Oh my goodness. I'll be 44 in November.
Cool.
What's happening where you got to go on dialysis, Jennifer? Oh, we got an iPad.
Oh, cool. It's almost as like
My
Sharon-
kidneys died. I had CKD.
Will you say that again? We missed it. Somehow it got cut out.
Oh, it's okay. I had chronic kidney disease from my diabetes.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah. So I actually do peritoneal dialysis at home.
Gotcha.
Is that hard on you or not? Not really.
You're not. We can't hear you. You're stopped. Shoot.
It's like the screen froze.
Yeah, the screen froze.
No,
There we
it's
go.
actually a lot easier. Oh, no.
It's a lot easier. Oh, good. Yeah, you stopped for a minute. You froze.
You were like
Yeah,
that.
we're like, uh-oh.
And then your kidneys went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the peritoneal dialysis because I don't care for the hemodialysis.
Yeah. Is that the one where you hook up to the machine and it leaves your body and comes back?
Yeah,
Your
that's
blood.
hemo.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
That's scary stuff.
But I use my belly. I have a catheter, and I do my treatment every night compared to 3 times a week, which is actually better for you to do it every night, because if you think, your kidneys are running for, all your life, it's actually better for you to do it every night instead of doing it 3 times a week. It's actually more harsh to your other vital organs to do that treatment. So that's why I chose to do peritoneal dialysis. It's actually better.
That's
I
good.
control my schedule. So
That's really good.
You know, what's kind of beautiful about you is I don't sense any victim. You seem like you got a good frame of mind and you're happy and you laugh a lot. And I think that's pretty beautiful. I mean, and you've
Thank
got
you.
some health issues. I mean, those seem serious to me when it says dialysis. I go,
I know.
yikes.
And I like it how you take care of it every day, like you really love yourself, which is
Yeah.
really way cool. Because, I feel like the Christian churches and Jehovah's Witnesses worldwide, they teach you not to love yourself and care for yourself. But that's what you're doing, is loving yourself. And it's very cool. Yeah.
you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And just keep doing what you're doing because, I come to realize when you're on Facebook or on any of the different, medias, no matter what you say, the minute you open your mouth, you got 200,000 people against you. If you're a Christian, you got 1 million people against you. I did a post the other day. I said, you can have a relationship with God and not go to church. And the people came uncorked. Like, what are you doing? Pushing religion on us? And I said, no, I'm not pushing religion on you. I just said, Sharon says, gave the thumbs
Yeah.
up.
Sharon gave a
But
thumbs up.
I just said you could go to church. You don't have to go to church to have a relationship with God. Oh my God, you believe in God still? They beat me up for believing in God. I'm like, well, I didn't say it was Jehovah or Jesus. I just said it was God. And man,
Our
they came
Heavenly
uncorked. The atheists came uncorked. You shouldn't be in this group. We don't want you in our group. And oh my God, it's like a hornet's nest.
I know it.
You can't say nothing, so you might as well be who you are,
Really. Hey, is Sharon going to talk you into writing a book? I bet she is, huh? But she's
I don't know. I mean, she could probably write the book. I'll give her the details.
you probably could actually. That would be called a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
You can ghostwrite your book. You just have someone, you dictate what you want and they make it all beautiful, make it all sound good. That's kind of cool. Anyway, we should get her off the line. She's got to take care of herself.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you for joining
Thanks
us,
all
Jennifer.
of you guys. And thank you,
Pastor
Jennifer.
Dave and Linda. And thank you, Sharon, for joining us. And thank you for putting your hand
Good
up.
to meet you,
That
Jennifer.
worked. Yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
see my puppy, Dan?
Yeah.
Aw,
Oh my God.
he's sleeping
That's
away.
ridiculous.
Hey,
I want to come through and give him a hug.
Left all the-
That is oh my God.
He keeps me going too.
Everybody wants a dog like that.
Yeah, Dan,
I love dogs.
Dan loves especially shepherds. He loves bigger dogs like that.
Man, look at how loving that dog
Oh
is.
yeah, really love it.
Now, I'm gonna have to chastise you
Why?
because the watchtower just came out and said you're not supposed to have any affection for your animals.
That's right.
Oh, please.
I know.
Hey, I'm gonna put your picture on
How
the
narcissistic is
YouTube
that?
channel. I'll take a picture and put a picture of you sleeping with your dog on the JW site. I'll say, this is Jennifer, and she just loves her
Oh,
dog.
see, look at
Oh
that.
my God, Jennifer. That, oh God, I-
And whatever's left of the bed is for her husband,
Oh,
right?
my God.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Yeah.
blow a fuse in those governing body.
Oh,
Oh, well.
so sweet. Oh, look, do
That
one more
dog
time.
is,
Oh,
oh
that's
my
so
God, let me get a
great.
picture of
Okay,
that. I
hold on,
got
we're
it.
gonna get a
Oh my God.
okay.
You
Linda's
would
gonna
think
stop
that
laughing
there's a
just
way
for-
to do a screenshot.
Okay, all
Okay, hold on. Stop moving, Pellet.
right, hold on. Okay, there we go. Oh,
Oh my God,
wow.
that is
Got it.
That's
ridiculous.
a
Got it,
great
got it.
picture.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that's so great.
What are the elders gonna invent with that one, you
Oh
know?
man, I can't
I
wait.
could
The
care
whole-
less.
Again, it'll be
for
kind
you.
of like
But see, taking care of your animals
with
is like having another child in the house. It takes
I
away
have-
from doing the work of
Yeah, I
Jehovah.
have 3 more.
That dog is, oh my
Aw.
God, that's pathetic.
that's spoiled.
That is
I bet your
spoiled.
husband's jealous. I bet your husband's jealous, Jennifer.
He is.
I
Look at that dog. I have never seen a dog like that.
know.
That dog
Pellet.
is full of love.
That's full surrender.
What a cool smile
Yeah, oh,
you
yeah.
had right then, Jennifer. That was so cool.
Oh, I'm so glad
That was
you're-
such a cool smile. Like
Yeah.
this is making my world go round right here.
Aw, so precious.
Yeah, the elders are gonna say she loved that dog more than she loved her husband. Let's
Right.
bring him in.
Oh no, they're gonna say that one when she loves Jehovah
Right?
Yeah.
or us.
That woman needs some discipline.
Yeah.
Well, we're supposed to take care of our animals.
That's right.
That's right.
And love them too.
That's
Well, you know
Yeah.
what's funny? That's one of the things the witnesses say that we're going to enjoy in the new system. That you'll be able to snuggle up with the lions and tigers and
With a
bears.
lion and
Oh,
with
goodness.
women with sharks.
It's one of the
That's
sharks. It's true.
that look on her face.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my gosh.
Oh my God.
Okay, we got to get you
This
off
would
the-
be a disfellowshipping offense, Jennifer.
Good for you. Good for you, Jennifer.
Oh, well.
Jennifer's like, let me out of here.
So good to meet you, Jennifer.
Thank you so
You
much
too.
for all this, Jennifer.
Thank
For
you, Sharon.
sharing.
Thank you, Sharon.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Sharon, thank you so much. Thank you, Pasta Babe. Thank you.
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
Right,
guys.
love
We'll,
you.
we'll put it up on YouTube and let you see. I won't put the dog picture on the
Awesome.
front because you get in trouble, you know? I'm kidding.
Pellet will be famous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Well,
God.
I have him. The one right here is named Pellet, but I have another one named Bullet. So
That
I
was
got
Bullet?
animals in my
Bullet.
house.
Bullet sounds like it might be a pit bull.
Yeah, oh, yeah, that's true.
They're all pit bulls.
Oh,
They
geez.
are?
I'll
Oh,
send you
wow.
when we get off. I'll send you more pictures of what they look like.
She told you that. That's
That's another disfellowshipping offense, Jennifer. Pit bulls.
Oh, Lord, forgive me. I love my animals.
Oh gosh. This was a great show, Dan and Angela.
You want to know why they won't let you have pit bulls?
Why?
Because they might attack them if they come to attack you.
Well, the elder got his ass chewed up by a pit bull.
Right.
So he's ready to bring anybody in with a pit bull.
To come and get
That's-
let.
That's that damn dog that bit me.
20 years of the preaching work.
Oh, man.
Oh wow. Well, I'm gonna say goodbye, you guys.
Me
Okay,
too.
all right, guys.
Good night, Linda. Thank
Good
you,
night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
All right, have a good night.
You
Good night.
too.
Say
Good
bye,
night.
Pellet. Say bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Pellet.
Oh, my God. I got to get another picture. Hold
oh,
on.
that's so cute. Oh my God. He's so cute.
Oh my God. Oh
he's
my
so
God.
cute.
Oh, my.
Oh, he's so cute.
Oh, my
Oh
God.
my goodness. All right.
I even caught a picture of you in there, so.
Oh. All right, you guys. I'm gonna end this whole thing. How do I end it, Dan?
Right there.
All right.
Okay, guys, see you
Thank
later.
Good
All
night.
right, have a good night.
You
Good
too.
night.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.